Good evening, wrestling fans. Welcome to Evolution of Pro Wrestling. I'm Lewis and this is Jay, and we are back. It's been a little while since we've been here, but it feels good to be back in the camera, be back in live with Facebook, and just be a part of, wrestling talk as always, as we best can do. Before we jump into today's topic, we want to mention a few things that's been going on, around the world. Jaden, I know you've heard this, COVID-19. It's
also known as the coronavirus.
Yeah, what is the coronavirus?
People call it the coronavirus.
It's been affecting a lot of people's lives as of late, including ours. It's everything's locking down. Wrestling hasn't, they've been canceling.
Lives. It's been affecting sports, stuff that plans that people had.
Yeah, no, they pretty much suspended baseball. They suspended football, basketball.
Postponed basketball.
It's a shame that this is coming down to it, that it should have never came down to. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean we're gonna stop our lives for this coronavirus. We're gonna live our lives the way we should and just do what we need to do.
Right.
So, also, WWE announced a 2-night event for WrestleMania. What do you think of that, Jaden? For the first time ever in 36 years, that's unprecedented.
That's
WrestleMania for 2 days straight. That's never been done before. That's pretty interesting. What do you think about that?
Pretty interesting. That means that there's going to be a lot of matches going on in WrestleMania, which means there could also be a few surprise entries, a few wins that no one's probably going to expect and stuff like that. So yeah, it is actually interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing this and stuff.
Thank you, Michael. It's good to be back. We were out a little bit, but we're definitely back, and we feel good that we're going to be bringing up our topic today, which is going to be outstanding to me. Jaden, why don't you tell them the topic for today?
Oh, yes. I am so excited for this topic. I have been waiting to do this for a little while. I am so happy that I get to do this with you guys again. Tonight's topic is a favorite. The greatest returns and debuts of all time. We're going to be talking about why this person made an impact in the WWE with their debut or return, why they should have returned, why they shouldn't have returned, why they should have made the debut, and you already know, you're just going to keep going on with the debuts and returns. So I'm looking forward to this topic.
In professional wrestling, you know that when it comes to returns and debuts, depending on the impact that you make in a debut is what's going to happen next.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you see that when many superstars that have debuted in the WWE or WCW, in that matter, have made an impact for themselves. Can you name one off the top of your head, Jaden? Let's say a return that really caught your eye when you were watching professional wrestling.
When I first watched professional wrestling, I didn't know how crazy the return was because I was too young to know. But John Cena, when he returned to the Royal Rumble, and then he won the Royal Rumble when he came back at number 30. When I first seen that, I was like, oh yeah, John Cena, of course, I already seen him. I see him every day in the WWE universe, until I actually got older and realized that he had a really bad injury, and no one thought he was going to come back at the time he did, and he ended up coming back. That's why everybody went crazy. So it's like, okay, so that's why the crowd went really crazy, because this guy just came back from, you could say, almost a career-ending injury.
Mm-hmm.
Probably no one thought that he was
Well,
going to return.
I'll give you a little heads up. I was there.
You were
live.
You said the crowd.
I was there. No, listen. I went. Listen. It was so crazy that I thought I was gonna go deaf. Like, it was simply amazing the way when John Cena came back at number 30 at the Royal Rumble in 2008. It was just amazing. And Earl Smith says Triple H has some best returns of all. Of course, he's on this list. We're going to talk about that. And Moses says, how's it going, gentlemen? Hope you're all safe and having a good vacation, laughing out loud. Yes, sir. Thank you. It's good to be back. We had a little hiatus, but we're definitely back for good, and we're going to keep going. We're glad you're watching. For those that you are watching, today's topic is the best returns and debuts of all time in professional wrestling. If you're watching this now, please feel free to share our photo. Share our live video so we can have people coming in talking about this topic, the best returns and debuts of all time. Ken Lloyd says, hey guys, thank you for comforting us during these crazy times. Love from Canada. Absolutely, sir. We appreciate it. That's what we do. We might not be able to go outside. We might not be able to do stuff wrestling related. But we can still entertain the fans and talk to the fans about professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to do.
Yep.
So when you mentioned John Cena in the best returns. That return to me was epic.
That return, yes.
That
was very epic.
And no, Moses, we're going to get to that. He mentioned, a lot of people are mentioning Triple H. Triple H was coming back from the quad. Absolutely. In 2002, when Triple H came back to Monday Night Raw, he didn't know whether he was going to get cheered or he was going to get booed. The outcome of that return was whether or not, if he gets booed, I think Chris Jericho was going to come out and interrupt. But if he got cheered, Kurt Angle was going to come out and come after Triple H, and that's what happened. Triple H got cheered. He pretty much, the crowd went nuts when he came back from that injury. And then to top it off, he won the Royal Rumble in 2002, won the championship, the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania against Chris Jericho. So it was pretty much smooth sailing from there. His career just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Russell Jackson says, I'll say The Rock has the best return. Yep, we're going to get into that too.
Yes.
And Brian, I was waiting for Brian to come onto the show. Welcome, Brian. Judgment Day 2000, Undertaker, American Badass. You know we got to mention the Undertakers. Undertaker came back in 2000, American Badass, which was an excellent gimmick, which I think, I could be bugging, that he's coming back with that American Badass attitude at WrestleMania 36. Alex Red says Chris Jericho 2007 in Raw. Yes, I remember that as well. Also, I remember the debut of Chris Jericho in 1999 when he came back. Batista. No, absolutely. Batista as well when he came back 2000. I think it was 2010, I think. No, I'm lying.
2000.
Let me see. I think I totally remember. It was 2020. 2020 and WrestleMania 30.
Yes.
He came back for the Royal Rumble, won the Royal Rumble. Wasn't really received well by many people, so I think that return was kind of a dub. Yeah. So
Batista's like old and out now.
See, but see, a return that still gives me goosebumps that I remember all the time. And Brian, you're gonna like this one when I say this, because he says Undertaker when he returned to fight the Undertaker, when he returned to fight the Undertaker, laughing out loud. Remember when the Undertaker returned as the Phenom at WrestleMania 20? Yes. I still get goosebumps to this day watching that video because he is so good in playing this character, the Phenom. Yes, I like the American Badass. Yes, I like the Ministry of Darkness.
I still rather the Phenom.
The Phenom, like untouchable, like doesn't talk, doesn't do anything. It's
all business when he gets into the ring.
Exactly. Like the goosebumps that comes through the superstars when he gets into the ring, when he walks down that aisle, WrestleMania, or in general.
That even gives like wow. You see the dark smoke going down. You know, you see him walking nice and slow.
Oh yeah. Brian just mentioned a classic when the Ultimate Warrior returned at WrestleMania 8. Of course, I would still watch that in the network. I would go to classics. I would fast forward it all the way to the end and watch that return from the Ultimate Warrior when he came back. You know, the fans went crazy. Bobby Heenan nearly had a heart attack when he did that shit. You know, and Earl Smith, that definitely was a loud pop, Brian. It definitely was a loud pop. Earl Smith says debuts best to him. Goldberg, when Goldberg came, when he debuted in WCW, nobody knew who he was. He took on Hugh Morris, beat Hugh Morris, and then just went on with a winning streak. He was the first undefeated champion in professional wrestling. Then he made his debut, I think, when was that? It was on Monday Night Raw.
2003?
2003, on Monday Night Raw, exactly. And then we have AJ Styles that made his debut in 2016 in the Royal Rumble. Major pop for that one.
That was.
Like the fans went crazy with that one. You know, but I think there was some Edge. Oh, absolutely. This Royal Rumble that just passed. Me and my son went crazy when we were watching Edge.
Yes.
When he came into the Royal Rumble, we went nuts.
Rumble, I jumped.
Like the return of Edge, like it was in
Wow.
2010 and in 2020. It was
Edge
amazing
had
when we had that.
off of my couch.
I'm like, holy cow!
I was like, am I seeing a ghost right now? I was like, there's no way this could be Edge.
We was shocked.
Yes,
we was shocked about it, and I'm like, yes, this is what we need.
Yes, I was like,
said,
this is hyping up WrestleMania.
Yo, absolutely hyping.
Yes,
you know, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's gonna be very weird to see WrestleMania without a crowd. You know, that's what makes WrestleMania, but that still doesn't mean I'm not gonna watch it. I still like wrestling. I love wrestling. I'm gonna watch it. And I'm gonna enjoy it.
Good show put on. I don't care how many fans are there. I just want to see them.
You know, Brian, you mentioned it. It's not on the list, Brian, but I'm glad you mentioned it. When Kane returned with the Canadians were about to burn the American flag on Monday Night Raw. I remember that when Kane returned. Kane made several returns. He actually made his debut at Bad Blood against The Undertaker when he tombstoned The Undertaker and saved Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
So that was another excellent debut. There's a debut, Jaden, that still catches my attention to this day. Before we get to that, Brian says Brock's return in 2014. You see, I got hyped when Brock Lesnar made his return, but the follow-up they did with it, I didn't like it. I didn't like it, you know.
I like Brock's debut, though, in 2002. Yeah, I like that. That I got hyped by the following and the debut in 2002. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that. But you know the follow up with the 2014 one. I didn't.
Going
for that. I wasn't going.
I didn't really like it, you know, because I thought he was gonna come back with more wrestling skills and then the Suplex City crap and blah blah blah.
At least he could. They should have made him go back to.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say something that I actually totally agree with. Ken Lloyd just mentioned it. If CM Punk returns, that's gonna pass everything.
Yes.
Because this man will, like, you don't know the pop. But that's the thing. I think they should have make him return now due to not having a crowd. You know what I mean? Let them build it up. Let them do what they need to do. And Brian, you're right. The follow-up was trash. It was terrible. They could have done better with him. You know, but since he was making all this money, he's a part-timer. It's like, what do you do? What do you do with this man? How do you do it? Earl Smith says, honestly, the fact that AEW and WWE are still putting on shows, even with empty arena, needs to be applauded since they don't have to. They don't have to. Sorry, just figured I would say something since you mentioned. No, you're absolutely right. They don't have to. They don't have to wrestle due to this coronavirus, COVID-19, but they're doing it because the fans like to see it, whether it's on TV, whether it's in the arena, and we're grateful for that.
Yes.
We're grateful to still see that.
Yes.
I like it. I like watching it, and I'm not missing wrestling for nothing. I'm not mentioning WrestleMania for nothing. And Daniel Bryan's return was epic because the man was cleared to wrestle after 3 years after he was told he could not wrestle. And he came back. Yes. He came back stronger. He came back smarter. Word has it he is possibly retiring soon. We're not sure yet, but we hope it's not that long. No. And it's something we enjoy.
Yes.
It's something we enjoy. We enjoy it. And when you talk about other debuts and other returns, one that crosses my mind is when Hulk Hogan returned at WrestleMania 21. This was in Hollywood. This was the same weekend that he got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And he pretty much came back, and the crowd, I never heard such a loud crowd in my life. Like, it was just amazing when that man came back. Well, the return of Bray Wyatt as the Fiend. The man is still the Fiend.
Oh yeah.
He's taking on John Cena as the Fiend. That's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? But you got stuff like that when you talk about debuts. Like there was another debut that this is in the cruiserweight division. There was a gentleman by the name of Ultimo Dragon that he debuted with a legendary manager, Sonny Ono. Those two in WCW. Sonny Ono used to manage these greats in WCW and would accelerate into new talent. They would in new skills. And Ultimo Dragon was one of those guys. That actually He carried the fort. He did what he needed to do, and we enjoyed it. We enjoyed watching the cruiserweight. So that was another debut that we definitely enjoyed. Oh, absolutely! All of Stone Cold's returns were the best. One in particular, Backlash 2000. The fans went nuts when he came out. Yeah, he had a beer belly. You know, he was just getting over surgery and stuff. He was overweight, but I went nuts when he came back. Like it was just over the top that Stone Cold came back. The moment you hear that music hit, it was just like, wow. Now, a debut that came to mind, Kevin Owens. He debuted at the Elimination Chamber in 2013. Is it 2013? No, 2015. I'm sorry.
Isn't that the debut when he attacked John Cena? Right?
Yes.
The Elimination Chamber.
That's when John Cena issued the United States title open challenge.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that debut, and what do you think of his career now?
I think that debut was a smart way, to get your name out of to get your name out there, attacking one of the most popular people in the WWE, and that's, like I said, a big way to get your name on the billboards and stuff like that. But now you really don't hear anyone talking about Kevin Owens anymore. Like now.
He has this feud going on with Seth Rollins.
He has a feud going on with
but
Seth,
it's not.
You don't hear no one talking about him anymore.
Yeah, it's a little out there. You know what I mean? And Earl Smith says that a build up for the narcissist Lex Luger, who also debuted in the WWE, was awesome, but the follow up kind of sucked. It was a good build up, but me personally, I didn't like the narcissist character. With the muscles and no. Give the man what he needed to do. Lex Luger, the total package. Let him wrestle. Let him do this. They made him a good guy in WWE, but they try to make him a 90s Hulk Hogan. There's only one Hulk Hogan. You can't duplicate a Hulk Hogan. And it's like, you absolutely can't. So that was a bad build-up going in. And the WCW tried to make him better. He was okay in WCW, but not the best. And Brian says, I think you mentioned when John Cena returned at the Rumble, and we were there. Oh, absolutely. We that's what I said. We were both there. Like, it was the pop that me and Brian heard. We almost went deaf. I lost my voice that day at the Royal Rumble because it was just crazy. That was the day we saw the return of Roddy Piper. The late Jimmy Snuka. Like, it was crazy. Me and Brian went nuts. Like, we two legends that we grew up watching. It was just crazy.
And they were fighting each other in the same ring.
No, we didn't know if either one were gonna break a hip or something in the ring. So I know disrespect intended to the Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I get what you mean, though.
But it was intense. It was really intense.
Yes.
So when you think of a debut, Jaden, which one comes to mind that you least enjoy? Well, actually, that you most enjoyed.
That I most enjoyed. I enjoyed the one where Seth Rollins returned. I think this is when Seth Rollins was a heel.
He was a heel. He returned from injury, and he pedigreed Roman Reigns, and the fans went crazy.
Yes, the fans went crazy. Everyone went crazy.
The fans went crazy. See, Brian mentioned the Ultimate Warrior's debut in WCW. I liked the debut, but WCW did not follow up well with that. They could have made it a better storyline. They could have made it more unique, but it just wasn't all that. It wasn't at all. It was just like, okay, what's next? What are we gonna do? And how is it gonna go down? You know what I mean? Is it gonna go better? And then Earl Smith says, I'm in the 80s now, but when Ric Flair debuted in WWE was good. No, absolutely. We had that on the list. When he debuted in 1991, trust me, we saw that. We definitely saw the debut of Ric Flair. I saw the debut of Ric Flair, and it was good, but they didn't follow up with it with him and Hulk Hogan. Everybody wanted to see that match at WrestleMania 8.
Yeah.
So, and then Brian says CM Punk, when he returned with the title after everyone thought he left. Oh, in Monday Night Raw. When CM Punk came out, John Cena's in the ring with the world title. CM Punk comes into the ring with the world title. That's right. The debut. Yeah. Fans went nuts. Different song. All that stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. He had a different song. He had a different song, but it was good.
It was good.
And surprisingly, when we mentioned Edge in 2010 and 2020, when he returned, I actually liked his debut as well. He was in the crowds. He was an unknown person. People didn't know who he was. And poof, this guy just rolls into the top with no question. Like, it was amazing the way he just rolls to the top like that. And I'm like, holy cow. Like,
I mean, you don't see that often. You don't see
no,
people
you don't.
doing ghosts and then they just come out of nowhere. You don't see that happen a lot. So that's a good way, to make a return or a debut.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And we are forgetting forgetting a major one, guys. Which one is that one, Brian? Like I said, I've been thinking all day. I totally forgot one. I might have it on the list. Tell me what you got, sir. Michael Robinson says, I like when Eddie Guerrero. Yep, the Radicals. We had that one in here too, Michael. The Radicals, they debuted. And I think they debuted. Let me see here. I got this down here. Give me one moment, guys. I'm so sorry. They debuted in 2000. The Radicals. And Brian, of course not. I trust me. I'm getting to that, brother. I got it right here. We gonna touch on that. Don't say nothing yet. Yeah, see, Sting. We gonna touch on that. Earl Smith said the Texas Tornado. I'm sorry. With all due respect to the Von Erich family, Texas Tornado was not deserving of being in WWE. I'm sorry. He wasn't as a great of athlete as his other brothers. I'm sorry. Ken Lloyd says, okay, how about the debut of Hardy Race from the NWA into WWE? Absolutely. Hardy Race is always a legend. The man is a Hall of Famer. Isn't he, Jaden?
Mm-hmm. Of course he is.
Now, Jaden, he mentioned Sting. Survivor Series. Survivor Series. Sting debuted. That was the game changer in WWF.
That wasn't Sting's only debut though. Sting also made a return when he had to help Randy Orton fight against.
No, but he was still in WWE at that time, so that's not really a return. But just his debut alone was shocking because nobody ever thought that Sting would ever had stepped foot in a WWE arena or a ring, which was epic. Because then that's when we had the famous rivalry going with Triple H and Sting. Then you had DX come out. Then you had NWO come out. And speaking of the NWO also debuted in Bash at the Beach in 1996, as well as 2001 in the WWE. That's when the whole landscape of professional wrestling changed. When the NWO was created, that's when WCW started kicking WWE's ass. So it was just amazing that night. So can you mention any other names, Jaden? Like any other returns and debuts?
Rey Mysterio, 2000 Royal Rumble 2018. I feel like it was a good return because Rey Mysterio. I wouldn't really say he's a good wrestler.
Well, he received a good pop.
He did receive.
No, he's a great wrestler. He's a great wrestler. He's at his age already. That's
what I mean. I'm not saying I'm not throwing nothing.
No, but the return, it caught the crowd. It caught the crowd. It was a major pop. It was good.
I'm talking about now. He's not that good of a wrestler, but back then, Rey Mysterio, when he was younger and a lot faster, Rey Mysterio was excellent. All those times in the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. But like my dad said, he did have a really big pop when he came back into the Royal Rumble, always putting the masks on for the kids, always doing the little thing. Once you hear that song drop, you already know it's Rey Mysterio. Well,
Earl Smith mentioned he liked when Taz debuted in the Royal Rumble in 2000, which I enjoyed it too. But the follow-up was bad. They could have made him a superstar. They could have made him something. Why? Because he was short. So what? They could have made him something, but they didn't. They chose not to. They put him into an announcer. He was worth more than that. I didn't agree with that. Macho Man in WCW, absolutely. I saw that too when he helped Hulk Hogan. When he made his debut in WCW. Michael Robinson said when Sting was underneath the statue that Seth Rollins supposed to get. Yep, that was Sting made his return. I forgot about that one. He made his return to Raw, challenged Seth Rollins at Night of the Champions for the title. Michael Robinson also says, I like the NWO with WCW, but when they debuted in the WWF, of course not, because WWF pretty much destroyed the NWO. They didn't follow up with it. They were adding all these members into it with Shawn Michaels. You added Shawn Michaels into the NWO. Why?
No.
Why? And then Booker T and the Giant. The Giant I can understand because the Giant was there before, but Booker T and Shawn Michaels. That wasn't going to go with it. I'm sorry. That was just wrong.
Stick to DX.
And then Brian says, Yep, Bret Hart's return post-retirement. Think that was after he was put in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. When he made his return, I believe it was 2010 that Bret Hart returned and that he became the general manager. Yep, he became the general manager of Raw. And speaking of general managers of Raw, who can forget the famous debut of Eric Bischoff? The former president of WCW. This man nearly put WWE out of business. And yet Vince McMahon was willing to put differences aside just to make a business profit and to make ratings create chaos by bringing this man as the general manager of Raw. Like, it was just insane.
That's crazy.
And then Earl Smith says Taz should have had a crazy killer feud with Stone Cold. Exactly. They used him wrong. They destroyed him when he debuted. And Kurt Angle got a killer pop when he came back. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like I said, there's some on this list that we do not have that I couldn't remember off the top of my head. If you have any, just throw them out there. We'll talk about it. We do what we do. Yeah, Brian is damn true. Damn true. You know, and it's amazing with these returns. It's just epic. And one debut that stands out in my mind that to me was still by far one of the best out there that many of you guys haven't even mentioned yet. Chris Jericho in 1999 when he debuted in WWE.
Oh.
The countdown clock. It was amazing the way he debuted. And then he just came out and just made a splash for himself.
Now,
excuse me.
A debut that I enjoy and a debut that probably everybody else enjoyed. WrestleMania, I'm pretty sure it was a ladder match when the Hardy Boys returned.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania. No one knew. No one knew
they were in the arena.
No one knew. When was this? Hold on. This was in WrestleMania 33.
Yes, 33.
Nobody knew about the return. Me personally as a fan, I went nuts.
I went insane.
I went nuts, and I was in my bedroom and I looked at WrestleMania. I hear them come out. I went so crazy. Like, I'm like, holy cow! Like this, and the fans were nuts, and nobody knew. And you see, and you see the documentary about it in WrestleMania 24/7. Nobody knew. None of the talent. Only the bosses knew, and it was amazing the way they held it on the wraps because, you know, we hate when things get leaked out like that. Like it was so good, and we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it so much. You know what I mean? Now, the Hardy Boys made an excellent return on that day. But to me, the return that stands out the most of what I've seen so far, I would have to say Vince McMahon. When Vince McMahon comes back in 2000 because of all the chaos that was happening with the Helmsley McMahon regime, it was just crazy. And it was the way it built up into WrestleMania, having The Rock and The Big Show and Mick Foley and Triple H. It was epic. It was epic. And Osman says, I hated that guy. See, I hated that guy in WCW when he came out. WWE before that build, I was like seriously Jericho, but I'm like on him on the mic. Of course you like him on the mic because the man, he's a genius on the mic. He has good mic skills. You know, and they did something with him.
They did.
You know what I mean? Not like WCW. WWE did something with him. Now they made him a star. Even, you know, he's in AEW now, but still, he's an excellent athlete. Brian says Hogan's red and yellow return after he left the NWO. Absolutely. That's when they made him champion, the undisputed champion. I still remember that. When they made him fight Triple H at Backlash and he won the title. Michael Larkin says, thank you for joining us, Mike. That pop for the Hardys at Mania was amazing. One of my all-time favorite returns. Absolutely. One of mine as well. Now, this is a debut that I have in mind that Brian is definitely going to like this. In 1990, The Undertaker debuted in the Survivor Series.
Oh, he did.
That's when his career transcended. Yes. The moment he made that debut.
Who was he facing in that match?
Oh, it was many people. It was Dusty Rhodes. It was Shane. It was Dusty Rhodes, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil, Coco Beware.
Was that when he was the Dead Man, or was that before the Dead Man?
No, he was just the Undertaker.
That was when he had the purple gloves.
Yeah, the purple gloves, the gray gloves. Yep, with Paul Bearer and Brother Love. And Brian says yes, he remembers that. He remembers that return. We got 2 people mentioning Shane McMahon. Of course. How can we leave Shane McMahon out? We have him on the list. 2016. When he came back, took on The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell, which that match was crazy.
It was a really good match.
I don't listen, with all due respect to superstars, I don't care how much you pay me. I am not jumping off of a close to 30-foot high Hell in a Cell on another human being. And you miss at that. Then hell no. I don't care how much money you pay me. Unless I know that I'm going to land safely and I'm making sure I'm winning that money.
Unless I know I'm getting cash.
No, but let me rephrase that, because sometimes it's not all about the money. Sometimes it's it's about entertainment. It's the passion for the sport, and that's what they love to do, and that's why they did it. Another great debut was Mr. Perfect from AEW to WWE. Absolutely, they could not pick a better character for him. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig was the perfect Mr. Perfect. The man did it all. He did it perfect. He wrestled perfect. I wish they could have given him a bigger push besides the Intercontinental title, but Hogan was the man, and Hogan wasn't willing to drop it at the time. It just wasn't. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. And he was a great Intercontinental champion, and it was something that needed to be done. You know what I mean? So, Earl Smith says, I seen the debut of Tuco Scorpio and Iceman King Parsons in Mid-South Wrestling. Oh, he's going way back. Like, way back. This was before my son was born. In Mid-Atlantic Mid-South Wrestling, those were the days. With King Parsons, I'm surprised that man isn't in the Hall of Fame. The man he paved the way for many great stars, for the Freebirds, for the Von Erichs. Many people out there. You know what I mean? So, and Tuco Scorpio, he did his thing in ECW. Not so much in WWE, Tuco Scorpio, and he was Flash Funk and the dancing. No, it just didn't work. It didn't work for him in WWE. In WCW and ECW, he was better. He was better. He was high flying. He was doing crazy stuff, and it was good. He was one of the innovators of the high fly game. You know what I mean? Now, did we mention the Shield's debut?
The Shield.
How could we forget the Shield, Jaden? Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Survivor Series 2012.
Yes, 2012.
These 3 men came into the arena, and made such an impact.
Whoa. Yeah, Ryback,
excuse me. They didn't know how to act.
They beat Ryback down, and then they hit him with a triple powerbomb. That's when the Shield's career went sky high.
Of course, absolutely. The Shield. Listen, that's when Roman Reigns was known as the top player in that group. Before they made him a face. No, you should have kept him a heel. The man was on his A game. Mm-hmm. And I still remember that they tore up the WWE.
They did.
They went all over.
They had a long winning streak. Roman Reigns was unbeatable.
Of course he was unbeatable.
That was the first time he got pinned.
Yeah.
CM Punk,
he was never pinned. CM Punk never beat him. CM Punk never beat him.
CM Punk never beat him. But he got pinned one time while he was on a streak. That was the first time he ever got pinned, and it was so crazy. Brian
mentions the debut of Ronda Rousey. It was a hell of a pop too at the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think they gave her the title a little too soon. They should have made her work for it. You know what I mean? Like other superstars, other female superstars, they work their asses off in the ring. I don't know. She's an excellent, UFC fighter, but
I still think they gave it to her a little.
Yeah, exactly. And Ken Lloyd says, William. Excuse me. Thank you, William, for joining us. Remember the debut of King Kong Bundy? Oh, absolutely. King Kong Bundy, man, is still known to this day. God rest his soul. Are you tired, Jaden? Am I boring you?
No.
Get it together, son.
You're not boring me.
For those of you watching, please feel free to share our live video. Get everybody in. Get everybody talking. Get everybody watching professional wrestling. We got this topic coming in. For those of you who have just joined us, our topic for today is the best returns and debuts in professional wrestling history. Earl Smith said Matt Hardy and AEW. We actually had that on our list. Him and Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper. They couldn't have picked 2 better guys to debut into AEW.
Right.
That was a major game changer for professional wrestling and AEW, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go when it comes down to it. And Michael Robinson said, "What about the Nexus?" Of course not. The Nexus, when they came in, they attacked John Cena and CM Punk.
They literally
destroyed the ring, the ring announcers, everything.
It was silent. Normally, you would hear the ring announcers talking. It was silent. All you heard was the crowd. Literally, they destroyed the ring. They took off the mat. They destroyed the tables. They flipped everything.
They choked people.
Yes, they did.
It was crazy.
It was.
It had me in shock because I didn't even know it was coming.
It was shocked, but it was really interesting. Don't get me wrong. It was very interesting.
No, it was very interesting. Just as this one was interesting when I saw it, and it kind of changed the game in WCW and WWE when Scott Hall debuted in WCW. Right off the back, people thought that there was an invasion from the WWE going into WCW. And that had everybody on their toes. And the moment he came in, then Kevin Nash came in, created the Outsiders, which they debuted as a team in WWE, in WCW, I'm sorry, and then created the NWO, which pretty much took over from there.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I apologize, fans. AEW, the announcement of Kenny Omega. Also, that was an excellent debut too. I wish Kenny Omega would have signed with WWE, but it was kind of safe to say it's good he didn't because I don't think WWE would have knew what to do with him. You know, it was up in the air. Brian says Daniel Bryan got fired during that debut for choking the announcer. Oh yeah, I remember that. I definitely remember that. He wasn't supposed to do it. He did it, but he paid for it, but came back. Earl Smith says Hardy should have been the chosen one for the Dark Order, and Brody should have been his sergeant or his knight. Well, it's AEW still growing up, and Brian, no, it's not coronavirus. It's like Corona sneezes. Oh, absolutely. What about DX invading WCW? Of course. That day still sticks. You know, but Jaden, if you can think of two returns, one that you like the most and the least most, which would they be?
My favorite one would be the John Cena one when he returned to the Royal Rumble. My least favorite one was when Brock Lesnar returned in 2014.
Okay.
I understand it had a big pop. I just didn't like the follow-up. Like, the follow-up didn't make any sense.
Okay, and you're absolutely right. I agree. As I said, fans, if you're watching, please feel free to share our live video. You know, get people into our feed. You know, they can talk wrestling with us. William says, of course, when Sting appeared in WWE was a huge moment. Absolutely. That was a game changer between. But they always wondered what would happen if Sting would have covered WWE, WCW, and WWE, and that's what happened. And that's what made Sting fight Triple H, and it was an epic battle between those two at WrestleMania. Now, when you talk about debuts, which debuts you like the most and the least? And we're asking you fans the same question. You got two returns. Which was your least favorite? Which was your best? And also with debuts, whether it's WCW, WWE, which one was your best? Which one was your worst? Okay, we got one already. Brian says Kevin Nash as Diesel returning to the Rumble was his least favorite. So that's one. What was your favorite though, Brian? Return and debut, you know, of less and most. What about you?
I agree with Brian.
Okay, and what about your one you like the most?
Goldberg when he debuted on WWE when he speared The Rock.
Okay.
I like that one.
And which one you like the least? Was that one, Kevin Nash?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
I did not like that one at all.
Brian says Taker's return that I mentioned earlier was my best. The one in Judgment Day when he came back as the American Badass. Okay, we got those two out the way. Now, what about your best debut and your least debut, guys? My favorite return thus far, I would have to say The Undertaker's return at WrestleMania 20. It just got over John Cena in 2008. My least return, I would have to say John Morrison.
This year?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they put him back as a tag team guy. You know, if you're going to bring the man back, you know, yeah, you gave him the tag team titles, but
I mean, but everybody
Let him.
knows him already. Like,
Yeah, but still, I didn't like the return. You know, the way they did it too. You know, when when the Miz got beat and everything, and then when they went to get an interview with the Miz, John Morrison came out, and that's how he debuted. That's how he returned. No,
you got a good point about
you know. And then Brian says his favorite debut was Sting. Sting debuted in Survivor Series, and I actually have to agree with you with that. That's one of my favorite debuts. My least debut, I would have to say, it's kind of hard to choose.
TikTok.
Kurt Angle's TNA debut. I thought the man would have done better in TNA, but
I mean, but they made him a star in WWE though.
yeah, but when he went to TNA, he just went downhill from there. He
did.
wasn't doing well.
He wasn't.
He wasn't doing well at all, and
I mean, I'm glad though that they put him in WWE. He signed with WWE though.
No, I'm glad he signed with the WWE. And you look at it, even Michael Robinson said, I don't like the John Morrison from now. That's what I'm saying. Like it was not something that, you know, we could have saw that people wanted to see. And it just wasn't something that we needed to remember him by with. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't, I just didn't like it. You know what I mean? Now, when you mention returns, oh well, no, absolutely. Samoa Joe's debut in NXT was pretty good too, Brian. That I remember. He confronted Kevin Owens with that, and that was good because then when Samoa Joe debuted and attacked Seth Rollins, he was considered the destroyer. So he came out, he took over, he pretty much he made a name for himself, and that's what was good. And I also remember the debut of Booker T in 2001 when he attacked Stone Cold at the King of the Ring. And it was still a good show to this day when it came to the King of the Ring. Now, Earl Smith says, I think Morrison was brought in to breath fresh air into the Miz. Absolutely. It was, I think he just wanted to finish his career into WWE, but I think they could have did a better debut, in my opinion anyway. So guys, tell us your greatest returns of all time, your least favorite returns, your your best debuts, your least favorite debuts of professional wrestling. As we go on, Brian and everybody listening, you know, we thank you enough for watching. We thank you for the support. You know, thank you for sharing. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know, put the word out up there. You know, we can have our fans talking, have everybody talking. Also, we are glad that we can provide for you the entertainment that we can through this COVID-19 and this virus. We hope everybody's taking care of themselves and being sheltered and doing well.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands all over the place. No matter how goofy it looks, wash your hands all over the place and do what needs to be done. Now, before we go, WrestleMania is upon us. Excuse me. First time ever. 2-night event. I've never seen it in the 36 years of watching WrestleMania. I never would have thought this would happen. But hey, professional wrestling's still going to go on. We're still going to enjoy it. And we're going to do what we got to do. WWE, Michael Robinson says WWE, The Miz really didn't need that. The Miz does well on his own. He absolutely does. And that's what we're definitely looking forward to seeing. And William Jenkins says, I was a big WCW fan, and 2 big debuts that got me pumped was when Bam Bam Bigelow showed up to Nitro and went after Goldberg, and when Raven appeared on WCW after leaving ECW. Those are ones we can never forget. Raven, a hardcore legend that was just in Atomic a few weeks ago. Bam Bam Bigelow, God rest his soul, who was there. He was an excellent superstar. And like many of these guys that I mentioned in these debuts and returns, a lot of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and a lot of them are not. Which, speaking of the Hall of Fame, the British Bulldog and Jushin Thunder Liger, 2 of the greatest superstars in this generation and that generation back then, are going to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. Well deserved. So fans, this is our time today We glad you were watching. We glad you made your comments. We glad you shared our videos. We enjoy what we do. We love what we do. You know, it's what the love we do. It's for the sport. Next week's topic. We talked about many superstars. We talked about the WWE Championship. We've talked about the tag teams. We talked about tag teams. But what about the Intercontinental Championship, Jay? Has anybody mentioned that? And have we ever mentioned any topic about that?
There's been a lot of winners of that champion too.
No, but there's 8 superstars that stand out for me when it comes to the Intercontinental Championship. And you guys can name others. We're going to be comparing others. But next week's topic, we're going to be talking about 8 of the top superstars that were Intercontinental Champions. And we are going to give us your opinion on whether you think these guys should be the top 8 or should they be someone else. Randy Macho Man Savage, Ricky Steamboat, Mr. Perfect, Radishing Rick Rude, Greg the Hammer Valentine, the Honky Tonk Man, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart. 8 of the top superstars that has ever held this Intercontinental title. Who's the better one? Are there others that are better than them? That's the topic for next week's show. From myself, Lewis, my partner Jay, as always, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us on any topics, concerns, whatever, at evolutionofprowrestling@gmail.com. And please help us pass the word out of professional wrestling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Evolution of Pro Wrestling. Also, we just want to give a little shout out to one of our friends out there, William Jenkins with 321 Screw, his YouTube channel. So follow him there. And of course, Solange Blaze debut in WCW as well. She was Medusa. She was Medusa in WCW. And it's with debuts like that and stuff, you know, Brian was had come up with a certain topic that we are going to use within the weeks to come, which many of you are going to be very into this show when we mention that topic. So from all of us here, from myself, Lewis, my partner Jay, my producer and director, my lovely wife Yesenia, thank you for watching, fans. Join us next week again at 8:30 sharp for another edition of Evolution of Pro Wrestling. Thank you, fans, for watching. See you later.